Hello, good people. Welcome to our channel today. I'm coming to you live from our studios in Nairobi, and this is the fastest growing political channel where we analyze things that are beyond your eye, the hidden things of the political class. Yeah, that is it. Remember, the political class plot their things and advance slowly underground that most of us might not realize. That's why these guys hold most of their meetings at night. That is it. And they do their things secretly, only just to erupt. Some of which erupt, giving them the desired results, and some of them end up not giving them the desired results. Actually, today we are going to analyze and look deep into the how Genz protests came into being, and actually, if you have to put it right, the plot to overthrow the government. How did this come into being? But actually, these things, nobody should cheat you. Genz don't have a leader. These guys have got a leader or leaders, sorry to say. There are people who are pushing, actually, because if these guys were told to come on table and actually put forth what their issues are or what they would like to be considered, and they're not coming out, it's just because their leaders now think that they'll be shortchanged, or that is it. Hawataki kujitokeza. They don't want to come out clearly and say what they want. These guys have got leaders, and we are going to analyze events that will clearly show you the things that push these kids to the streets. Remember, most of these kids that are on the streets, the Gen Zs and the millennials, are guys from the rich families. Yeah, very few are from poor families, like most of us, but very many of them are from rich families. So they very well know what's pushing them. Some of their fathers, relatives, uncles, and all that are the financiers of this, are the pushers of these protests, and their main aim, the end goal, was to overthrow the government. That's why the slogan that was all of us, Ruto must go. Now, after Ruto has gone, what next? Because somebody didn't want someone in office. Okay, so maybe they wanted somebody who will push their agenda. So this thing was well plotted, but through the execution, that's where they got it right. So let's see how it came into being. You'll come and reason with me, guys, and if you feel like there is something you should add, let's see at the comment section. Let's see the comment dropping, and if you feel like we are wrong, let's also let me see your contribution in the comment section. But I want us to go through this and reason together how the events unfolded until we had this protest, actually. And after we have reasoned together, sit back and think twice and ask me, are these guys who are on the streets protesting without a leader or without leaders? I'll take you back before the 2022 general election. Before the 2022 general election, I'm sorry to say, we know very well that the Mount Kenya region, that's the Gikuyu, the Gema, if I may put it, the Gikuyu, Embu, Meru, and Ambere are the majority voting bloc in Kenya. It goes without saying. They have over 10 million votes, that if all of them were to cast their votes. And in 2022, or prior to 2022 general election, the community that has got rich votes did not have a candidate from their backyard in the presidential slot. I hope you got me right. They didn't have one of their own from home who was vying as president. Reason being, before that, in 2013 to 2017, when URP and Jubilee, TNA, sorry to say, were in the Jubilee umbrella, they were like campaigning, like one of their own was Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, was to have 10 years as president. Then the person was backing them, the deputy president by then, who's William Samoei Ruto, was to have another 10 years after Uhuru had gone. So these things, like, they were politically tied or politically held hostage to their brothers and sisters from the Rift Valley, that's the Kalenjin community. It's like they made a promise unknowingly. 10 years for Uhuru, 10 years for uh, uh, the then president, who's the now president, William Samoei Ruto. So it's like these guys in 2022, they felt like we have a debt to pay. Unfortunately, along the way, things didn't go well between the duo, that's Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto. So Uhuru and Ruto break or went apart. But the other people on the ground, that's the other small leaders and the voters, felt like we have got a debt to pay. And remember, in Kenya, Kikuyus are very industrious. They are everywhere in the country. They are very hard working, both in businesses, in everything, businesses, farming, and all. That's why they are everywhere in the country. They are like the Hindu people in Kenya. They are working everywhere. They see opportunity in everything. They are very hard work. So they are widely spread in the country. So they are everywhere. And they are the last community that will want to offend another community, because they know they are not in one region. Let's say, for example, like the Kalenjin, who are only in Eldoret, who is in Gishu, and their areas alone. They don't sprout everywhere. Go everywhere in area. So Kikuyus are in Western Kenya, Kikuyus are in Kisii with businesses, Kikuyus are in Trans Nzoia, that is it, farming. Kikuyus are everywhere in Kenya. And not everywhere doing nothing, but everywhere very much busy and very much involved. So prior to 2022 general election, these people feel like they have got a political debt to settle, because they know they are interacting with everybody. They are farming everywhere. They are brokers, they are intermediaries, they are middlemen, they are traders everywhere. So that image will be bad if you show like we are betraying this guy. He supported us, he gave us his votes, alitujazie kikapo for us to come to presidency, now tukamwacha and all, and we are everywhere. So there was that feeling like if we don't do that, it will paint a bad picture. Then how are we going to interact with the people on the ground, because we are everywhere? So they wanted to wash their hands out of that. That's why now they took most of them, not all of them, took William Samoei Ruto as their candidate, their preferred candidate. And you'll bear me witness that of all the people voted for William Samoei Ruto, the majority of the votes came from the Mount Kenya region. Of all the votes that William Samoei Ruto got, 48% came from Mount Kenya. The next percent was from his backyard. So they voted for him overwhelmingly to pay the debt. That's it. So prior to that, after Uhuru Kenyatta had departed ways with the William Samoei Ruto, he had his own candidate with some few leaders of the Jubilee Party who followed him, because Ruto had came out of Jubilee and formed his own UDA party. That is it. So Raila was supporting Raila Odinga, and they had a running mate from the central region. That's Martha Wangare Maathai. Not Maathai, but Martha Karua, yeah, the senior counsel. So, and William Samoei Ruto also had to choose a candidate from a Kikuyu community, not because yangu kumi, but because they are the majority will vote. So you have to at least give them something to boost their morale for voting for you. So he chose Rigathi Gachagua. So through all means, the Kikuyu community wanted also to have a taste of the presidency. Remember, they have been in government for the last 20 years, Kibaki, now Uhuru. But now, if they left that without having somebody close to the presidency, to have taken them long, it will take them long again to test it, because power is good. By the having one of your own in power is good, it's a nice thing. Yeah, that is it. So they had that math in their head. If Karua replaces Raila, there's a chance she's close to president. She might become a president in the future. And one of the only not take long to be a president. And also you have here Gachagua. But now the Gachagua William Samoei deal was not like 10-10. You just come, you are my deputy, it's my government. That is it. So somewhere in quarters, you can see like the business people, the big business mongols in Mount Kenya had gone with the Uhuru. Yeah, that is, they were supporting Uhuru, they were supporting Raila Odinga's bid. But the young Kenyans from Mount Kenya and the vocal ones were supporting William Samoei Ruto. So the business people actually wanted one of their own back to government through own means. That's why you realize that there were rumors somewhere saying that even if we give Raila Odinga to be president, this old might not lead to the end. So, and you always know if the president maybe is incapacitated, becomes mad, is jailed, or God forbid dies, the deputy president is sworn in automatically as the president. So some people had that in mind, and some were rumoring that they were planning, if Raila now comes, they can assassinate him and all that, blah blah, such things, and automatically Martha Karua comes to power. That's, they will have had one of their own back as a president through all possible means. Yeah, so that was one of the cards that they had. So things went the way they went. The smart politician was sworn in. I can say the smart, because sometimes you don't know if whoever wins is the one who's sworn in, but the smart one was sworn in. So after William Ruto was sworn in, now this rich class still had that in their head, like how to machine waji. So it was really disturbing them. Sometimes it's hard to forget and move on. They didn't do that. So William Ruto came in, had things to implement. The affordable housing, the finance bills he was bringing in. So when the affordable housing project was brought in, remember, in Nairobi, for instance, is where there is a very big problem with the housing. Nyumba zingine ziko juu, maybe zingine hazitoshi and all that. So if affordable housing comes into place, I don't mean it's good, and I'm not saying it's bad, but assuming that this project becomes successful, it is a good thing, because a house at such a cheap rate and you are just paying it, then you'll own it later on, all of it is a good thing. Nobody will stay in a rental house where you are paying without hopes of owning it. But if there is a house somewhere that you can pay little money, like the same you had for rent, then you'll own it, it's a better thing. And we realized that most landlords in Nairobi are Kikuyus, the people who own houses. So it's like these people had in their mind, they pictured it's like this guy is going to bring us down, which is true. If that thing comes to pass, the landlords in Nairobi, most of whom are Kikuyus, will have felt they will have been shortchanged, they have no business. So these guys went back to the drawing board. This thing, itatumiza. Which is true, if it comes to pass, itawaumiza, that's the truth. Personally, I can't stay in a house, maybe for instance, pay 10,000 for the rest of my life, or for a bigger part of my life, and I can never own that house. If there's a house somewhere I can pay 12,000, extra 2,000, I pay extra 2, which is 12. But after some time, I'll own it. I'd rather go to the 12,000 than own it. Because later on, if I'm not there, my children will take over. It will be my property. So that is it. So they felt like, hey, this guy should changing us. Wakanyamaza. But they tried to push it through other means, court cases and all that, blah, blah, to stop that bill on the taxing the Kenyans to have affordable housing. They are inciting the working class. Where the president was saying, let those who can earn something actually provide for those who cannot earn. That is it. So that one came to pass. They had a push and pull, but they didn't succeed. Then came the 2024 finance bill, the bone of it, where there are some commodities that would be taxed, and the people at Mount Kenya also felt like it will fall on them the hard way. For instance, people are to be taxed on cars. They have so many vehicles on the road. They have invested in transport system, not system, but transport sector, actually. They have vehicles for transporting the PSV vehicles, this transporting luggages and all that. Some have got personal vehicles. So they feel like if I've got maybe 100 vehicles on the road and I'm taxed, to eat deep into my pockets. They were against that. There was a tax to be imposed on farm produce, 5%. People produced waru. Sorry to say. They produce waru. These people produce coffee, so many things. So they feel like if we were taxed on these things, also hit hard on us. So it was so hard. That's why there was the Limuru 3. Yeah, now that's where it starts all. Actually, before you go further, let me state it categorically. If you have got a third eye, Limuru 3 is the one that gave birth to the Gen Z and millennials protests. Let's not lie to each other. The organizers, sponsors, and those people who pushed for Limuru 3 are responsible for the Gen Z protests. They are the ones who are responsible for the overthrowing of the attempt to overthrow the government. I can say that to your eye. Because in Limuru 3, people who went there, actually they are people from Mount Kenya. Some are from the government, in the pretense that they were going to overhear what is being discussed there. Some are from the opposition, okay, the politicians. But the businessman in Mount Kenya had a hand in it. So after Limuru 3, these owners wanted to chart the way forward for the community. Which way forward? They want to force somebody out of office so that their community can have an advantage. Already one of their own is in the government, okay? So they know there can be a loophole. Because if people come here and tell us, we want so and so to go, to resign or to go, and we know very well if that person goes, the deputy is the one who takes over. And where is the deputy from? It's like you are saying, we now want one of their own to step in indirectly. So if you have a third eye, you can see that clear. So after Limuru 3, now it came the press about the finance bill. Oh, finance bill, blah, blah, blah. But before that bill came to maturity, like it came to be voted on, the president moved with swiftness to drop some of the bills that were touching Mount Kenya people. Actually, the things that were dropped at the last mileage were really touching Mount Kenya people. So it was dropped. And the MPs voted, and it was passed. So after it was passed, now it came to the climax of it. People said we shall go, we shall protest, we shall picket peacefully. Yeah, but I don't think if you are protesting or if you are doing something peacefully, going somewhere forcefully is part of being peaceful. I don't think so. Because if you have to go to parliament and present a petition, actually a petition can come as a group of people, but there are some few people can be presented, the presumed leaders, to go and to ask for an opportunity. You want to present A, B, C, D. You don't force yourself in, because the moment force is included, then that's not peaceful. Remember, I'm sorry to say this, even in Sexual Offense Act, for instance, if you force yourself on your wife, that's a rape case. Remember, it's your wife, but if you force yourself on your wife, it's a rape case. Yeah, that is it. In black and white, it's true. That's the thing. Leather states it. So if you go to parliament, you want to present a petition, then you force yourself into parliament, it's no longer peaceful. So nobody should cheat that the remotion was peaceful. Yes, you are forcing yourself in. Leave alone the banning act, but only the forcing act. For forcing yourself in alone is peaceful. What if there were MPs in the parliament who are against the bill? You communicate with one of them, like Babu, the one who came out. Then he comes out, you present a petition, he goes to parliament on your behalf. He says, I have something. The people who are outside there. Then he presents it. But why should you force yourself in? Why should you break those doors? Why should you ban? Actually, and they say it's no, that's not peaceful. That is not peaceful. So that was an act of coup d'etat to overthrow the government. And this all was well planned. Nobody should tell you that these people don't have a leader. The leaders are there. And the leaders, I'll state it categorically. If you can know the owners, the planners, the financiers, the sympathizers of Limuru 3, those are the leaders of the GNC and the GNC demonstrations. That is it. So, things came to pass. The bill was passed, yes. But later on, the president wrote back to parliament to reconsider it, actually. And after that, there are some other measures that were put into place, because people are claiming some things that were very genuine. But the way they are pushing it in a wrong way. So, the president also addressed some of those issues. He did away with 47 parastatals, actually in a way to cut down on the cost and all that. He cut down on the advisors in each and every means to one. His own presidency, he reduced the advisors by 50%. Some budgets here and there in the presidency were reduced in a way of giving a listening ear to the same. But now these people are still pushing. He also invited them. Now come. Even in X place, they ran away. What you want us to talk? You want things to be, but you are running away. What's that? Are you being genuine? That's not being genuine. There's no sincerity in that, by the way. Somebody, you are complaining, somebody calls, now come, let's reason together, and you run away. That's not being sincere. Yeah. So the main aim of these people is to overthrow the government. There's nothing genuine these people are fighting. Because later on, he had Mandamano prior to that about cost of unga, blah, blah. Cost of unga went down. Cost of petrol reduced. Things are stabilizing. But now you're coming with things. When you are asked to come and reason together, you don't want to come. Well, what's that? What are you trying to show us? Yet this all our country. Even the person whom you want us to go is also a citizen of this country. And I'm dead sure no leader would want to leave behind a bad legacy. Everyone will work hard actually to leave something good on table. Yeah, that is it. So this is just a coup d'etat. It's an attempt to overthrow the government. Let's not hide in things like, oh, the bill and all that. And remember, there are some people I met who are against the 2024 finance bill. In fact, you are going to say reject the bill. In the first place, you don't know what is a finance bill is. 1. 2, you even don't know what's in that bill. You have not read. You are also only anticipating on the rumors of what you heard. You are told this bill, they also want to tax your property, let's say for example land, yet you have not read it. You are just told. I can tell you something as a way of diluting your mind or spoiling your mind. So you have not read on your own. You don't know what is in it. You are depending on rumors. First of all, you don't know what it means. You don't know what is in it, and you are demonstrating. Is that being genuine? You know, I mean, someone that just ask someone, for instance, you want to build. That building is the idea you have. That is it, or it's a project you have. But before this project comes into being, you should know how to raise funds to facilitate the construction of this building or this house. So I explained to that person in a very simple layman's language. But when this person realized herself, she never went to those mandamano again. Because our people perish because of lack of knowledge. The Bible says that. Because the finance bill is like, if you go back, the budget was read by the Minister of Finance. So the budget is like the house. But budget is the project, the things you want done. Then the finance bill is like ways to raise money to make sure that this project now is accomplished. Mtu hajui hiyo. Because for this, I asked the person, if you want to build a house, it's the idea. How will you raise money? The person explained to me very well. This man, I'll see, for example, if I got a business, how much will I get from my business, from the profits? Need the same. For example, my husband is also working. Some part can come from the salary, or you can also take a loan or a salary advance. Then I told him, that's the thing. So this finance bill is financing the budget. It has to come from your pocket. You don't go and steal from somewhere. So the people who are protesting don't know the meaning of finance bill. They don't know the meaning of the budget. They just went there because we have been told JKA will be sold. They will even tax our wives. And things that even were not there. That is it. So if you go on, I'll say this. These people attempted to overthrow the government through unscrupulous ways. But it's very wise that the president realized that. Then also thank the leader of opposition, that Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. He saw this coming. That's why you could hear from his quarters, okay, from those people who are supporting him, saying that we cannot burn a whole house because you are disagreed with your wife and kids. You heard Sifuna say that. You don't do that. Yes, things are going bad, but what should you do? Chase away Ruto because he's not Kenyan. He's still Kenyan. But let's see, where are things going bad? Why can't you go on the table and talk? Sifuna also said, if we don't talk to Ruto, then whom would want to talk to? Because it's all our country. And if you all mean well for our country and we are invited to talk about our country, come out and talk about our country. You heard Oburu Odinga said, why, if you do away with the not Oburu Odinga, but Odinga himself, you are saying Ruto should go. After Ruto goes, Gachagua takes over. And according to Odinga, he does not have faith in Gachagua. Gachagua will come to implement bad policies. Which means the policy that Ruto is implementing are not that way bad. Okay? So Gachagua will come to implement the bad policies. Or if not, are we going to have now the generals, that's the military, take over the country and see what happened in Egypt? If you recall well, the general took over. It will take us so many years to come back to our feet. Because the military rule is not a good rule. That is it. Now we don't have the IBC constituted. How long will it take now to have elections and all that? So these guys took advantage of the situation to overthrow the government so that somebody else can come in. Actually, if you reason with me slowly by slowly, you see this. We are pushing Ruto out. Now who to come in? Yes, we are pushing Ruto out. Who to come in? You are saying he has got part, but now he has invited you. Come. Let's reason you don't want to come. What is behind that? What is the agenda behind that? So, guys, this was a plot to overthrow the government. But now Raila saw that. That's why he came back from that hard stand that he had. We have to talk. It's our country. We got to reason together. That is it.